I don't talk about climate change much on this channel. It's kind of assumed that when I show me getting around like this, instead of like this, then you'll understand which one is better for the climate. And my sanity. Besides, there are so many other YouTubers who are far more qualified to talk about these issues than I am, such as Simon Clark, Our Changing Climate, Just Have a Think, Climate Atom, Zenturo, Climate Town.
And also Climate. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Thanks for being here. Climate Town is sort of, I guess, low-rent John Oliver, but for climate change.
Wow, thank you very much for that. I would also accept a sort of Wish.com Burt Reynolds. Kids, Burt Reynolds was an actor who had a mustache.
You got it. Anyway, one of the things I find remarkable about living where I do in Amsterdam is that my climate impact is smaller than it's been just about anywhere else I've lived, without me really having to do anything special. It just happens that way by default. Now, that doesn't mean that the Netherlands is some kind of environmental utopia. Far from it. Like all wealthy countries, too many people drive cars, travel by plane, and buy too much stuff. The per-capita CO2 emissions pre-pandemic were about 9 tons per person, on par with Germany and Japan and far less than the US or Canada, but still much more than places like the United Kingdom and France.
Yeah, in America you can literally spend your entire life skipping rocks and eating algae and still have a 9-ton output due to the fossil fuels burned on your behalf by the American government for things like the military, roads and bridges, or oil subsidies.
Yeah, that's true. Though a lot of the reason why the Netherlands has such high CO2 emissions is because we don't have any of these, which makes it impossible to generate low emissions electricity by building these. Though in France, nuclear energy seems to work nicely. What are your thoughts on that, Rollie?
Oh my god, thank you so much for asking. There are basically 2 schools of thought here, 3 if you want to get technical, each one more complicated than the last, so let's take a minute or 40 to just really get it.
Yeah, that being said, our family pays a little extra to our energy provider to have our electricity generated by these and these. So our electricity emits a lot less carbon. And yes, buying low-carbon electricity is definitely something worth doing if you can afford it. I have a degree in electrical engineering and I know how power systems work. But I digress. Electrical grid aside, the Netherlands is fairly well set up for a low-carbon future, especially with respect to transportation. The train network runs on 100% renewable energy, the bicycle infrastructure is world-class, and many destinations within cities are walkable. The way we design our cities has a huge impact on the amount of carbon we emit as individuals and how hard or easy it is for us to reduce our climate impact.
As effective of an anti-urban living campaign as the Sex and the City movies were, it's estimated that by 2050, 68% of the world's population will live in urban areas. So it's really important that we make the easy decision, the right decision for the climate when designing those areas.
Exactly, which is why city design is so important for tackling climate change. Something that annoys me when talking about this subject is that people often claim we'll need to accept a massive decrease in our quality of life in order to reduce our CO2 emissions. While it is true that one of the best things we can do for the environment is to buy less crap we don't need, our cities don't have to be a big compromise. We didn't move to the Netherlands because of climate change, the environment, the cycling, or even the Stroopwafels. We moved...
I'm sorry, what?
Stroopwafels. They're like these thin little waffles with syrup in them, like a waffle sandwich.
Okay, at the risk of making the rest of this video about Stroopwafels, first of all, that sounds delicious. And second of all, it sounds to me like the waffles are acting more like the bread in this scenario, so it wouldn't so much be a waffle sandwich as it would be a syrup sandwich. Also, where do I get one?
Well, you can buy them fresh in the market here, but I actually prefer the ones from the grocery store. But look, this has nothing to do with this video. Can I continue?
Oh, I'm sorry. Please keep going. And subtitle this so I know what I'm saying.
Anyway, we moved to the Netherlands because we enjoy a better quality of life here. The city is lively and interesting, yet it remains a great place to raise independent children. We never feel unsafe on the roads, and we have the freedom to travel however we want. And it's fantastic to have everything we need within a short walk or bicycle ride of our house. Plus, I don't need to waste my life away sitting in traffic like I used to. Better for the climate and my sanity. So our quality of life went up substantially, while our climate impact went down, which I think is pretty remarkable.
Weird. It's almost as if building thousands of square miles of unwalkable suburbs around a handful of big box stores is actually not a great place for kids, or adults, or senior citizens, or teens, or tweens, or pre-tweens, or super sweet 16s. It's almost as if the car-dependent suburb is the result of a collusion between the oil industry and auto manufacturers. And I'm sorry, I did a big video about this a couple months ago. Now I can't stop talking about it. You were saying?
Yeah, actually, that's a great video. Everyone should watch it, but not right now. Okay, anyway. I sometimes wonder just how much more environmentally damaging my life would be if I stayed in my hometown of fake London, a pretty typical car-infested suburban city in North America. So let's consider that for a moment. First, there's an outdated cultural assumption in Canada that in order to raise a family properly, you need a single-family home. But that comes with it a lot of environmental issues that aren't often talked about.
The single-family home. Now, we may not have invented it in America, but we make up for that fact by building them on every square inch of available land. After all, that's what the American people collectively want, isn't it? Asks question dramatically.
Well, not exactly. I mean, some people like these houses, of course, but the bigger issue is that it's illegal to build almost anything else. The modern Euclidean zoning rules that are endemic throughout the US and Canada make it very hard for developers to build anything other than a single-family home, or possibly a large condo building, but almost nothing in between. This is known as the missing middle problem, which I've talked about before. So, in this hypothetical world where I never left my hometown, I'd inevitably be living in a single-family home. Now, heating a detached home is a problem. Every side is exposed to the elements, so there's a lot of ways for heat to escape.
And let's just dust off a report from the Center for Clean Air Policy. The approximate energy use of a single-family detached home is over twice that of a unit in a multifamily unit. That's not good.
Yes, so about twice the energy consumption of the house we have here in Amsterdam. Those same zoning rules also include things like minimum lot coverage sizes, floor area ratios, front setbacks, etc., which just means that every single-family home is not just self-contained, it's also far apart from everything else. Minimum parking requirements, for example, would require my hypothetical house in fake London to have off-street parking, probably for at least 2 vehicles, and that would likely be a necessity as it would be almost inevitable that both my wife and I would need to own cars in order to get to work. I can guarantee you that I would not be riding a bicycle if I lived somewhere like this. And our eldest son, who currently cycles himself to school, would need to be driven each day, and depending on where we lived, he might even need his own car to get to high school when he turns 16. Also, here in the Netherlands, we often take vacations throughout Europe by electric train, whereas in my hometown, we would always need to fly or drive to travel anywhere.
Okay, hold on a second. Cars aren't all bad. Okay, they're perfect for doing donuts in one of the many thousands of parking lots we have in America. In fact, for every car we put on the street, we end up paving 4 cars worth of parking lot. So the more cars we have, the more parking lots we have. It's the perfect system.
Anyway, what a lot of these problems boil down to is bad land use. Instead of using land wisely, many cities in North America, including my hometown, don't think twice about paving agricultural land to build housing, even as prime downtown land sits empty as surface parking lots.
Hey, sorry, I know you're ripping through some fire stats right now, but I happen to have a chart that shows a correlation between transport energy and population density, showing that cities with the highest density use the least amount of transportation energy per capita. I honestly don't even think you need it because it's, currently showing right now and people are looking at it if they're watching this video, but if you want it, it's all yours.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that. Yeah, leave it up. On this chart, Amsterdam is here. My hometown was not included in this study, but it would be somewhere here.
Hold on a second, because when some people hear dense area, they just think that place where all the bad stuff from Law and Order happens. Aren't dense areas just sort of smelly concrete prisons where people get murdered to death by the boatload?
Well, frankly, no. And if your city is designed properly, you can have a relatively high density without the city feeling like a concrete jungle. One thing that's really remarkable about a compact, walkable city like Amsterdam is that while I live a short bicycle ride from the city center, if I cycle in the opposite direction, I can literally be next to farm animals in less than 20 minutes.
Okay, I am genuinely jealous, because you never know when you're going to need to be near a cow fast.
Exactly, I'm glad you understand. Because while Amsterdam is part of the Randstad, a urban area of over 8 million people, it's not car-dependent sprawl, so there's still lots of farmland, floodplains, and nature left in between. Which is really nice. Better for the climate, and my sanity.
Okay, hold on, Jason, because America is big as hell. Okay, I'm not gonna like ride a recumbent bike across America like I'm everybody's math teacher.
Yeah, I get that a lot. But look, Americans are not driving from Why Not to Hump Tulips every day. They're driving within their city, and the design of that city decides how far they need to go on a daily basis.
Okay, sorry, but how did the guy who named a town Hump Tulips not get put on like every sex offender registry? You know what? Might be. You're talking about commutes, which just are the way they are, baby.
Yeah, but in North America, there is way too much emphasis put on the length of a commute, and almost all transportation-related discussions revolve around commute distance. But this is often a distraction because there are so many other trips taken on a daily basis besides a commute, such as going to the grocery store, going shopping, visiting friends, or going to appointments. So while the average commute in the US may be 16 miles, over 45% of car trips are 3 miles or less. That's less than 5 kilometers for the rest of my audience. And those trips are driven because of the built environment.
When you put it that way, it kind of sucks.
Yes, it does. They made the easy decision, the wrong decision for the climate.
So we can fix it by changing zoning?
Yeah, I mean, it probably starts with zoning, but look, there's a lot of complicated history and socioeconomic factors that...
Like what?
Well, for example, a lot of suburban zoning codes come directly out of policies designed to keep out minorities.
And what could be more American than political and corporate malfeasance, baby? Okay, I'm not excited about the malfeasance, but I am very jacked to get into it. I'm not sure why, but that sort of thing really, I like it. I should talk to a therapist about that, maybe.
Probably, but maybe later, because we'd have to get into how single-family zoning was built on top of explicitly racist laws meant to...
baby, here we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
It all started.
Here we go.
You know what? Let's just take this over to your channel.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we'll add a bunch of clips and sound effects and cutaways to the edit bay and all that stuff you do over there.
What, now? I can't have a bunch of people over to my channel right now. It's a mess. I haven't cleaned it in days.
Yeah, well, you should have thought of that before interrupting my video.
Okay, I'll see what I can whip together.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Blah, 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 some stupid joke about Patreons. If you want to support the channel, visit patreon.com/notjustbikes. You know the drill. Stupid Rollie interrupting my stupid video. Coming in here. Won't you take me to Climate Town? Won't you take me to Climate Town? Hey, Willie. Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened today. I can't stay in chat, though. I'm on my way to Climate Town.